already, and you saw what was going on. So in this week's episode, the friends were kind of pressuring Vontae, sorry, had a brain fart. Vontae's friends were kind of pressuring him to have sex because he hadn't had sex in a while. So we really want to talk about sex, like sexual activity, not in a way where we're talking about like sex, but just like about the pressures of society. Thinking about kicking our conversation. Well, before we do that, from left to right, let's just introduce ourselves so people know who we are. You can tell a little sentence about yourself or something that.
Okay, I'm Kendra, and I am happy to be here.
I'm Tre, and I'm a little nervous.
That's because of me, because I'm Olivia, and I make him nervous.
And I'm Larry, and I'm happy to be here also. All right, so first question. What do you think about virginity? Like, is it a positive thing in our community now? Is it, like, do people see it negatively? Like, where do you see virginity?
I think it's always a positive thing. I mean, it's something that you're born with, and you only lose once. So, I mean, you should keep it as long as you feel. Don't ever be pressured to lose it. So, I mean, it's yours, and it's nothing it's not one of the things you can get back. You know, they have this, like, born again virgin thing that's popular now. I don't really believe in that, but I mean, it's okay to do or whatever, but I mean, it's like once you lose it, you lose it. What do you think?
I agree, that's true. I think though it's different now because I feel like when I talk to like my nieces and nephews, like when I was growing up, it was keep it, stay a virgin as long as you can, make sure that you do it with someone that you love. And now with social media and sexting and Snapchatting, it's like, oh, you're still a virgin? I can't believe you're still a virgin. You know, you're 16, you're 17. Whereas when we grew up, the girl who, you know, was the first one to lose her virginity was like some sort of like leper. We were like...
Versus it being cool now.
Right.
No, you know I don't feel that way. That's why I was waiting for all of y'all to talk. Like, I'm balanced with the idea or the concept. So I feel like it's not a positive or a negative thing. I feel like if you feel emotionally mature enough to have sex, then have at it. If, you know, you're not, you know, then you shouldn't. I don't know whether I subscribe to you have to be in love, because to me it's kind of like, it's just a physical thing. It also has emotional ties to it, especially I notice as being a woman with women, it tends to be more emotional than, you know, with our male counterparts. And that's just how I feel about it. And I just also feel like on the flip side of it, if you have sex and you're not a virgin, it's not the worst thing in the world. And it's not like you gave up something that's so coveted. Like, it is a physical act that is how we, you know, can express ourselves. It's kind of just like sleeping and eating to me.
Yeah, I mean, it is normal.
It is. It's a part of life. Every species does it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, sex
I think the biggest thing about sex is that, and you kind of hit it on, is that some people can't separate sex from intimacy. And so, like, when you can't separate that, I think that's when it becomes I don't want to say a problem, but it's different. Like,
it is.
For people who can separate and people who can't. So, like, when you can't, you get really attached to the person.
But that's also a problem with, you know, that society that puts the two together.
That's true.
So it has to take a person to take them apart.
Right.
Because we're socialized to think that sex means intimacy. Like, oh, he gonna marry you now, girl.
Right.
Like, no. It's just sex.
Right.
So, you know.
Or he love you, and no.
Exactly.
No.
And I mean, you can have sex with someone that you don't love. I mean,
all
that
day.
is
all day.
a big part of it. So that's the interesting part about virginity. Like you said, like, we were socialized early on to think that, like, your virginity is something you give to the person you love that you're going to be with forever, when it's like, actually, you might want to experience some different things to see what you like before you commit to this for the rest of your life. Hence the 51% divorce rate.
Very true. And I agree with that. I just wish that girls especially had a space where they could figure that out for themselves. A safe space. I think part of it is because our culture is so over-sexualized that they don't even have time to really think about, like, am I the type of person who is going to be emotionally attached? Or do I want to wait? Or do I want to go out here and try different things and be with different people? Because I think it is individual. It's an individual feeling and a choice, and you got to know yourself. But we don't give girls the time or the space now to learn that about themselves. It's just, you know, sex, and more sex. And so they just do things because their friends say that they should, like in the episode, or, you know, it just depends.
But I think the conversation is starting to, you know, transform, or we're starting to get into that space. Because I don't know, you know, if you guys all seen Issa Rae in Insecure, where she said, I'm going to go through my whole phase. You know, and that was actually empowering, that, you know, this is my time to explore what I want in the bedroom and not necessarily be in somewhat of a committed relationship and think that, you know, sex has to go with a committed relationship, that the two don't have to go together. So I think maybe in 20 years, this will be a non-discussion. We won't even be talking about it. Yeah. And I also agree with you that we are socialized, you know, differently with how we approach sex, and how everything is so hyper-sexualized that it's not looked at, you know, in such a way as it's a nice thing, it's a wonderful thing, and it's also a physical thing that doesn't have to be put in my face when I want to get a burger. Like,
right.
You know? You know, I don't know.
I mean, but the thing about that, in talking about sex, it's such a natural attraction for people in general that it's a marketing tool now. So, like, that is an interesting thing. I just want to shift a little bit since we're moving away from virginity, but this is just a random question. Choose to answer if you do or don't. Thinking about who you lost your virginity to, was that a good experience, bad experience? God, would you do it again? Would you choose someone else?
No. Here's the thing. I think for the exact reasons that I said before, I did it for all the wrong reasons. I did it because he was my boyfriend. I was the last one of my friends to give it up, and everybody was like, "Why not?" And he's like, "I love you." And it was awful, and I hated it. And like, it wasn't a great experience. And I think if I had to go back and do it again, I would have like really been with somebody that I really wanted to be with. And, you know, not because we were in love, but just because like I really wanted to be with them. You know what I mean? Because I think it clouded that experience. But that's just me. I'll let other people answer.
I just want to pop back to the last thing real quick for a second. And I just want to say, if you do decide to go out and explore safely.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
make
yes.
sure you do. That's very important, because there are things out there. Some of them you can't get real. So just make sure that if you decide to explore, it's completely okay, but explore safely. I just wanted to put that little plug on it.
Yeah,
back to first time. You know, it's a lot of people like, oh my God, it was this first. It wasn't that big of a deal to me. I don't know. Maybe I was too young. I don't. But it's
how
just,
young? No, I'm just like,
I'd rather not say.
No, I'm just joking.
But yeah, it's just, it was like, oh, okay, that was cool. I mean, it was cool, but it was
that was cool.
That's kind of how it was.
So, I didn't mind my first time. If I have to think about it, I mean, I wasn't in love with him then. I'm not in love with him now.
That's kind of,
but it was good.
It was like,
that's all that matters.
Like,
that would have changed your experience if it was good.
If it was good. I would just take,
that's a t-shirt. If it was good.
I'll take decent. Like, you know.
I don't have to measure it against all of the. I'm not making it sound like like I'm a hoe, but if I have to measure it
against the rest.
If I have to measure it against the rest, I'm like, okay, it was.
Oh, okay. What about you? You know that Beg the Right song, think back to your very first
I
time.
know. It's like I think depending on which
first time?
I
think that's what I was thinking too.
Which first
that's okay, so it was
But see, I didn't do that. You said the first time.
That's
so
what
I
I did.
answered.
I
didn't answer like, which first time do you mean?
I was thinking the same thing.
You know,
I went back to the very
second
first
time was
very
magical.
Okay.
I was on the boat forever.
Are we talking if there was a secret message and we were supposed to answer for the first
I had a first time with a girl.
And the first time with a girl.
So yeah, we kind of have those double existence. Sorry.
Like.
Yeah, so that was like the
with the first.
Yeah, we had one first time, so we had two. So it's different.
But I was answering for the very first time. I just want everybody to know. But the first time.
And that might have been why my very first time was like.
Because it was.
My very first, just know, because my very first time with the dude, which was my very, very first time, was good. It was great. But my very first time with a woman was magical, and I never, I never went back. I was like, "This is what we do."
I'm here.
Yes, I am here for this.
This is what we doing.
Okay, so I have a question. So this leads into another question, and you can answer if you feel comfortable. But like, so since you said that was magical, did you feel turned out, or it was just like, no, I just turned out.
I mean, probably I followed that girl around like a damn puppy. So I guess maybe you could identify. I was just like, what do you want? Do you want drink? Do you want this? Do you want that? What do you want? I just want to be here. So, it's very possible.
Oh my. Yeah, mine wasn't that.
Not so much.
Maybe the other way around, but yeah, because I was like, okay,
so you feel like,
I'm like, ooh.
And they thought it was magic.
Let's pause. Yeah, like pause. Like we're cool.
I hate you.
Sorry, I mean it was an age difference too, so it was just like you're in a different space than I am, so this is like new to me, and I'm just like exploring where you've already conquered, and you know who you are, and you're ready to like settle down and make a life. And I'm like, whoa, bro. like, don't call my house because my mama might answer the phone. And she did that. She's like, who is this that keeps calling so much? But anyway,
that's another conversation.
Oh my god, it is. But anyway. Too much. Okay. So, too much information. Sorry about that. How long do you think you should wait before having sex, like with a new partner? Like when you meet somebody, do you think like there's a specific time frame you should wait, or like what's appropriate? Which should vary for different people, because I mean, I don't know, or maybe not.
I don't think you should wait. I'm very open to having sex first day. I
like you. You like me.
You got your number. Let me put your number on the condom right now.
So
got it in my wallet.
This is how I feel, because I just feel like some people wait like 3 months or 6 months, all these rules to it, and it's like then y'all get to it and you don't like it and you wasted 6 months of your life. I mean, that's just how I feel.
I am done.
I mean I get it. I get that. I do. I agree. I mean, I do agree. Even though like me and my husband, we waited 3-4 months before we had sex. But whatever.
That was a hater response.
But I needed that reset because like before I was single, we were both single for an extended period of time. Mm-hmm. So I needed that reset because I was exploring and I just wasn't. So that space allowed me to see like him.
So I've heard a lot of people say that like they don't have sex because it gives them time to get to know the person. Do you feel like you got to know him better because y'all didn't have sex?
Yeah, I think so.
You think so?
Why is that? Why? Because like I wasn't looking for a relationship, one. Mm-hmm. So like if we would have had sex, my attention might have waned. It might not have. I mean, I don't know. I can't really say, but
So were you? I mean, but like when people say that. Sometimes I just kind of wonder, like, so are you sticking around because you want to get to the sex part, or like
sometimes? Sometimes. I mean, and I think not conquest, but it is a conquest. It's like
along the way.
Yeah, like it's you learn more. Like you might have this one goal, but along the way you learn something like, wait a minute, like you actually are somebody I can build with, which that's what I was looking for.
Well, and I just think sex can cover like a multitude of sins, right? Like, so if you have good sex with somebody, you could think way more of them or let more things slide than you would typically do because the sex is good. You know what I mean? And so to me, I'm not saying you should or you shouldn't. I think you got to do what works for you. But I think if you do it, sometimes it's like, okay, I see this person for exactly who they are. There's nothing really kind of shifting how I feel about them or clouding my judgment in any way. It's just them. You know what I mean? Now, some people can separate sex and just be like, you know what? I see that. There's a theme on the like, everybody can't do that. So then, if you know
And
that,
that's what I noticed.
you know what I mean? It's just, but I'm of the opinion that you have to just literally decide what works for you. If you can go have sex and still keep moving, hey, I say go do it because I agree it's a physical act and everybody likes to have sex. But if you can't, you gotta know if you're really trying to settle down and you really don't know if you can be with that person without it, then you should kind of, take a step back.
Well, did you guys?
For me, I think it depends on the person who I'm dating. And I think that it also depends on what people feel like is the right time for them. I could date somebody and it be the same day. I could date somebody and it be 3 months. It depends on the connection. And it depends on how much trust I feel like I have in that person. It's like that innate kind of like instinct. Like, you don't seem like you wrap too tight. I don't know.
Complicate
You gotta know. Like, we need to just be friends.
And I also think it deals with like the time of life that you're in. Like being in your 20s versus your teens versus your 30s. Like, I think it makes a difference too. It's like judgment gets so much better for some people as you get older. Some is the
key word today. That's the magic word today. Some.
Right.
So while we're talking about that, so does a person's sex tell you about, like, how a person's sex is? Does it tell you about them?
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I feel like it tells you a lot of different micro emotions that might not necessarily play themselves out in communication. Just how the positions that you might want to prefer over other positions, what you may say or may not say, how you may touch me, caress me, things like that. That kind of plays in. It's the nonverbals that speak loudly and that make me go like, okay, so was you full of shit that whole time when I was talking to you? Because this and this don't match up. Like, the two need to make sense. You can't just have somebody who wants to throw you around and be like, choke me, and you be like, wait, what? And then 5 seconds later, the guys out barely drinking the tea like they were scared and nervous.
So that's the strongest out here.
I'll tell you. So
Let me tell you about last week and tell me.
I feel like that is like a little bit detached. So like I think missionary is like more intimacy in sex, because like that whole looking in your eyes and like making that connection where it's less connected, where it's like
it depends on
I
the
feel
doggy
you.
style.
I don't see.
It depends on the doggy style, because if you're laying and then the two of y'all are close, it's not like, putting you on. But if you're like,
my
doing
God,
lay
I didn't know this. I should have brought like a notebook.
We gonna write a book.
Y'all have broken this down.
Coming soon.
Okay.
Learn from sex position.
Right?
I mean, that's the Kama Sutra,
Kama
right?
Sutra.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
They keep me out. This time. Don't worry.
We reading wrong books.
We're trying to get better faster.
Right.
Did you say what?
Get done faster.
You said get better faster than
I cannot. I'm dead. I'm going for it now.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So I wish I had answered that.
I know. I really. Oh, y'all.
We
have one.
I guess I never thought thought, like, I mean, I definitely think that I've been with people who were like, let's say, really stoic, you know, out in public, and then they were like a little bit wilder in the bedroom or whatever. But I never thought about that as like micro emotions and their personalities, and I just thought like he's a freak when the lights go off. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't think about it.
That would make me nervous, only because I feel like you're not telling me everything. Like, you can be a freak in the bed, that's fine. But if you become a Jekyll and Hyde type of situation, we need to have a conversation. Like, what's going on? Because in 2 years, I don't want you to start, like, me reliving, you know, an episode of Enough or something. You know what I'm saying? When you beating the crap out of me with, like, the coffee mug. Right! Because you saw the signs.
Not the coffee mug.
I never thought about it.
Yeah, I never thought about it. Now I'm sitting here thinking like, so now that means he's now it all comes together.
Change the lives out here. Change the
He's really like,
it makes so much more sense. Yeah.
So this is so fun. So how many people somebody's been with, like a body, I was gonna say body count, but sometimes people don't know what body count means. But like, does body count matter to you?
no.
Why?
I don't really care. I mean, body count doesn't matter to me because whatever you did before me, you know, I'm hopeful that whatever experiences you had prepared you to have whatever kind of situationship or relationship with me. So I'm not really worried about that. If anything, I would be worried about it's, you know, and that's whether you have one body or 300 bodies, is whether you've taken care of yourself in those
that body
act,
you have.
right, in the act. That's what I care about. But if you have 300 partners, well, good for you. You know, it's your experience. So I should expect a lot from you.
High expectations.
I better see chandelier work. You know.
Y'all are killing me. I don't ask that question because I honestly don't want to know. I think though I can say a lot of men ask that question, and I don't think that they want to know. Yeah,
because they want you to be chased.
Yeah, they want you to be. But then I also have men who be like, "That's it? How old are you?" Like, I mean, so I think it just depends. But I just think it's, to me, I just tell people, don't ask a question you don't want to know the answer to. So if you ask, you got to be prepared for whatever comes with
they
it.
give you.
Yeah.
Like 1,500.
Right. Like for me, I want to know, like.
Is it important to know your body count?
I don't know.
I don't know. Last 30 days. That's what I be going to know. Like, I don't need to know about your whole life, but tell me what you did last week so I can, like.
What if they say, I don't really know?
Then I get nervous.
So body count is important.
And like your recent body count, because it also depends on what I'm trying to do with you. Like if I'm trying to be in a relationship with you, and you like, I'm like, how many people have you been with this month? You like 29. I might be like, well, damn. Am I day 30? Right. Am I day 30? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so to me, that matters more than like your entire history.
I think that makes sense. Context is always important. It's like nothing is in
because you may have had a
isolation.
high body count in your early 20s,
Teens,
and then
20s.
now you're trying to get yourself together.
I see that.
But then, okay, so to kind of go with that, if the person said, I think what's more important to me is not necessarily body count, but the amount of times you feel like you need to have sex or you want to have sex, because I want to make sure that our expectations are equal. Exactly. Because if you feel like you need to have sex 7 days a week, like, I'm tired, but I don't want to. Like, that sounds like a full-time job that I'm not ready for. So like,
and that's what I'm saying. If you're past 30 days, if you have to have sex every day,
right,
then I need to like mentally do some stretches and like really think through like my life.
Do some
right. And you got to think about that thing first. Like,
I ain't like, child, I ain't got time. I just wouldn't even want to have sex with you though. Like, that would be my deal breaker. Like, if you told me you need to have sex 7 times
a week.
Oh, even if somebody says 6, 5.
Okay, Okay, so let's talk about that.
That's too
I just recently had this. What is an appropriate weekly average
Good question.
for people to have sex in a relationship? Not just, you know.
It depends on the stage of the relationship for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say no less than 2, no more than 5.
You want your weekends off.
Between
Oh, I need my weekends off.
wow, between 2 and 5.
Like, that's a week? You know how many times that is a month?
Wow.
That's like going to work out. That's like a whole workout plan. Like,
Oh my gosh.
Put that in your planner.
right.
Yeah, well, sometimes. Do you feel like sex should be like spontaneous or planned? Like, do you have a problem?
Both. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Both. And to answer your question, it's for me, it just depends on the week. Like, some weeks you just more horny than other weeks. So it's just crazy.
Yeah, I think that's true too.
Yeah. And then some weeks you just kind of busy.
Yeah.
Then other weeks you're not so busy. So.
But you don't have like
So you got nothing to do, so let's do it. You did.
After you've been with somebody for like, so 5 years. So in the lesbian world, that's like eternity. That was like a unicorn moment, right? So you've been with a girl for 5 years, and we're already nesters, and we're all up under each other, and just, don't go away from me. 2 is enough. Like, 2 is appropriate. A week, it's appropriate. But 7?
What if it's multiple times in one day?
No, that's fine. That doesn't count. That's still part of the one occurrence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all.
Okay.
So we didn't get out the bed yet. One occurrence.
I mean, like,
no, it was like
morning
in the
and
morning,
then
the
evening or
afternoon.
after.
Is that 2?
You really had to think about it.
Is there like 1.5? 3/4?
Right. 3/4.
I don't know.
I don't know.
That's
I like I ain't got nothing to do. Like, I'm grown now. I got a schedule. I got things to do.
I gotta go to work.
Right. 3 times a day. Like, I don't kind of have that kind of like, financial plan set up right now. Like, that's appropriate.
We building wealth.
Right. I need 3 times a day. Ain't you tired?
Sorry. I'm sorry, I'm a multiple times a day person.
Oh, child. I didn't mean to clap you.
Okay, that's fine. So do you think in 2018 that like premarital sex, like what do you think about that? Like some people still think like you should wait to have sex to after you're married. Like, are there implications behind that, positive or negative?
That's them people's business. If you want to, you do it. If you don't, it's
For
not.
you.
Oh, for me, I don't give a if my partner wants it. Like, well, I'm dating. That's what we decide to do. That's what we decide to do. We don't. Like,
I think it's a wonderful thing if you decide to do that, and it's your personal decision. I think in 2018 it is harder just with how sexual the world is now with social media, things on TV. Like, I can remember growing up, like, you didn't see
sex
on TV at all. You know, now you
power.
See, you know what I'm saying? And not even power, because there's like stars, but you can see like on regular TV, you can see like butt cheeks and whatnot. So I mean,
like how to get away with.
Yeah, how to get up. Yeah,
I didn't even say that short name. My bad.
Yeah, like, but you can see like butt cheeks and stuff. So it's like. I think it's harder if you would like to do that. I don't think you should not do it if that's something you want to do because it's so sexualized, but I do think it's harder.
I think that like in my perfect world, I would love to be able to say that like I meet my husband, we don't have sex until we get married. Mm-hmm. In my 2018 real world, I don't know if that happens. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's a nice idea because I do think that it allows you to grow a level of intimacy that's not connected to sex. Mm-hmm. I just, know myself.
And you'll be able to say that you and your husband have truly never been with anybody else. So.
But I mean, what if it's bad?
Right.
That's what I
What if
mean.
it's not good? Now you married. You are legally bound. What, you gonna get an annulment?
Well, that's my next question. Are you willing to like teach somebody who's inexperienced?
No.
She's like, no. Next question, please.
Okay,
Well, I said not at this age. So I mean, at this point, I'm already married. Thankfully, it's good. So but maybe when I was younger, but I'm so old.
I'm tired. I don't got time.
I don't know. I feel like, okay, so if I, in my perfect world, if I waited all that time and we're married, we gotta figure this shit out.
And that might
we gotta read some books, we gotta watch some videos, we gotta make this thing, we gotta make some magic happen because.
You gotta write that book.
Right.
I'm telling you.
Like, for real, I gotta call Olivia and Larry and be like, hey, I need some help. But you know what I mean? Like, you gotta work it out. I just think that, like, to your point, having already had sex and now, do I want to teach anybody?
No. I don't have time.
Or patience.
Yeah,
Right.
that could be kind of. I am 50-50. Like, I think I would be willing. Like, if I feel connected to you and I care, I would want to try to teach you. But like, that's a really hard conversation to have. Like.
Yeah,
That's like, no, y'all gotta put this to the real. Come on, stop it. That is like you marrying someone who is not of the same culture. Let's go for it. Someone who's not the same race as you. And now you have to teach them how to be black.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. No. That's too far of a stretch. That's different.
No, it's not.
That's different. Like, teaching someone how to be black and teaching them how to be good sexually, I think. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sex is a physical act. So there are certain things that you can do to improve it. It's also about, like, finding what different people like. So maybe that sex that you've been having has been fine for everybody else. But for me, it doesn't work. You know what I mean? So, like, you could try to find some happy medium.
So you basically are settling for okay sex.
Oh my God.
No.
Come on.
She's making some But here's the thing. If you have, like, real, true love, like, something you've never felt, love, like, the love rom-com love, in the movies love. Let me try to work it out.
That's like settling and saying, okay, I really love him, but he just beat me a little. Like,
it's just on the weekend.
Never like my eyes.
my eyes now.
I think to what you're saying, I agree to an extent because if I just met the person, but if we've already been together and then like say something happens and then they can't have sex the way they used to have sex for whatever reason, just hypothetically, then I would be willing to have. That's so you believe?
That's why I'm single.
Oh my gosh!
That's why I'm single because I be like, I don't know.
Somebody call me when I just died.
I don't know how we gonna do this. Like, I just don't.
Oh my God! At that point, I would be willing to have.
Like you stay for a good 6 months, but then after that, you be like.
Well, if something horrible happens, but okay, so then here's the question: if you had to choose between having amazing sex the rest of your life
and everything else being great,
or having the love of your life, what would you choose?
I don't think the two are disconnected.
But what if that person is,
can't have sex
like a soulmate?
Can't have sex anymore. I don't feel like Jesus would do that.
Is it the end of the episode?
That wasn't what I prayed for, Jesus.
We got to talk.
I think we've laughed the most. And I think it's important, like a lot of books that I do read about topics that are hard to discuss, like bringing humor in. And I think this is something that is great to see, like being able to talk about a conversation that's taboo for some reason. Like everybody has sex. Well, most people. And some still do it and aren't honest about it. But a lot of people have sex and like nobody wants to talk about it. Do you feel like sexual education is important to have, like either with parents with their children or some type of sexual education, at least safe sex education in school? Like what do you think would be helpful to kind of change this cultural thing?
I think that could help like the HIV/AIDS rate if that was a more open conversation. Mm-hmm. I know I never had a sex conversation with my parents. I still wouldn't have that today.
No, I don't want to.
I don't think I want to either. It would be awkward. Look, I'm crazy.
They're like nervous. They're not here.
Like I can barely talk to y'all about sex.
Right.
Behind my face.
Yeah. But I wish we had. I mean, we have a relationship. We definitely talk like we talk every day, but that's just not a topic we talk about. And I kind of wish we did, maybe. And when I was younger, but no, at this point, no.
I mean, like we don't talk about the logistics of it. You know what I mean? Like it's not like that. But I do believe that you have to have safe spaces to talk about it. And I think about like kids that are coming up now, especially from an education point, like what we give them in school is very, textbook. Mm-hmm. And it's not really a conversation that's relevant to what they see and what they hear. Mm-hmm. So to me, I think there do need to be safe spaces where kids can ask questions. Mm-hmm. Like I always say to my niece, like, if you want to know, I'd rather you ask me and me give it to you and you know.
And I'd rather you get it from me than TV.
Right. Or from one of your friends who says they know what they're talking about, but they really don't. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because otherwise you learn all of these things that just aren't true. They're stereotypes. They're based on love and hip hop or whatever.
Oh, man.
Life's not really like that.
No.
Right.
Well, we'd like to know what you think, so go ahead and comment down the bottom. I want to thank you all for being here with us. This has been amazing. It was just a great experience. I feel like we tackled some really interesting things. I know you all better because of this conversation.
Make sure you watch the episode. If you haven't watched Love, Sex, and Marriage, the episode, go and watch it. Subscribe. Tell your friends about it. And go watch it again.
And watch it again. And make sure you all watch it separately, not together.
Right. Tell them where you can find you on your social media.
Oh, I was like, huh? You can find me Kendi Carter Wright everywhere. That's mine.
Tre, TRE_Floyd3.
I'm at authentic, the number 4, me.
I'm Mr. Carter ATL.
Thank you for me.
All right, bye y'all.